The biggest buyers of Bitcoin have been relieved, and it's not just Goldman Sachs. Who else has been buying Bitcoin with the new public financial statements coming to light? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about inflation. The numbers are in. Inflation is down. So why is Bitcoin down? We might have an answer as to why Bitcoin is going down right now, currently sitting at right under $60,000, $59,140 to be exact. MetaMask is entering into payments. What does that mean for your MetaMask wallet and your crypto portfolio? Also, Circle teases a potential integration with Apple Pay. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some altcoins, Toncoin, why it might be a good time to maybe get an allocation to the Toncoin ecosystem and the Ton token. We're going to talk about that and much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way. Big show today. Did you hear? The U.S. government might be selling all their Bitcoin.
They're not selling.
They're not selling?
And maybe they are, but
Yeah.
we know that more recently. They were going to move some of that to Coinbase Prime to custody. The what is it? The U.S. Marshals, right? They have access to move the Bitcoin.
What? No, it's the Justice Department that has it, but I don't.
Believe it's the U.S. Marshals. I could be wrong. You can fact check.
Not sure.
But either way, they came out and said, yeah, we're going to use Coinbase custody of the crypto. And then twice now, this is the second time. I remember 2 weeks ago where we had that. I thought they had sold it, but realistically, they'd done the same thing they did today, which was move $600 million. At the time, though, it was $2 billion. Now it's $600 million. Has been moved to Coinbase Prime. Now, it's not to say that in the near future they wouldn't sell. We have no idea. A lot of those Bitcoin that are still, they have over 213,000 Bitcoin. A lot of that is still tied up in litigation and still tied up in either bankruptcy estates or prosecutorial trials or whatever they're trying to do. We know a lot of that came from Silk Road. Some of that came from Bitfinex and other Bitcoin that they have essentially seized. And so what'll happen when all that clears, will they sell? We don't know. But we do know is one presidential candidate, or two of them, Robert F. Kennedy and Donald Trump, have said that they do not want to. They want to have a Bitcoin strategy. So what makes the most sense is start with not selling the Bitcoin that you currently have. You're essentially gifted it by seizing it. So on your thumbnail today is a mysterious shadowy figure. Who bought? Is it you, Robin?
Yeah.
Was it you, Ashley? Did you buy?
Yeah.
Wrong one.
Was it Rocco? No, it was
Yes, it was Rocco.
It was Rocco. Rocco, are you the mysterious whale on the thumbnail?
Yes,
I don't think the hair is long enough.
that's me. Yes. No.
You do have some long hair, though.
Want to show the hair? Yeah,
Okay, let's talk about who's been buying Bitcoin.
I gotta take
It's
that.
a shampoo commercial, bro. Maybe it's low. Well, never mind. So let's talk about this. Let's start with this first. This is from Bitcoin News on X. Large Bitcoin wallets, likely institutional investors, are aggressively buying as indicated by a strong accumulation trend score. And this is something I used to follow a lot when I had Glassnode until they raised their prices astronomically to the point where we didn't get any whale members, so I couldn't afford it anymore. All jokes aside, Glassnode here, this is a pretty good one. The darker the color of the circle is accumulation, and the lighter the color, you can see on a trend score of 0 to 1.
You know what they say, the darker the circle, the bigger the breakout.
Well, Tupac said, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Rocco doesn't know what Tupac is. You don't
was
know what
waiting
Tupac
for
is?
that.
He's a legend. Anyways,
Doesn't
all my
matter.
millennials from the West Coast will understand what I'm saying. So
You're not a millennial.
I am a millennial. Closer to 0 states that it is distribution, and closer to 1 is accumulation. And we've been in a strong accumulation, Robin, since essentially the beginning of, or the middle of May. Now, who has been buying? Well, let's start with Goldman Sachs. I'm sure you saw the headline. This was everywhere. Goldman Sachs reveals $418 million Bitcoin ETF holding in their latest quarterly S1 filings. Oh, actually, they're not S1, 13F filings. My apologies. Goldman Sachs has disclosed new positions in several Bitcoin-related exchange funds, revealing for the first time just how much the banking giant has invested into such products. This is important here on behalf of clients. They're not buying it for themselves, at least this article is not alluding to that. But still, you're talking about one of the largest banks, and it's great because, Gary Gensler was I believe, the VP of Finance at Goldman Sachs. And, well, their clients are like, yeah, we want Bitcoin. We want Bitcoin. How does that feel, Gary? Been very quiet from Gary Gensler lately. Yeah,
Yeah, he's been taking L after L. I mean,
well, he did do recently another one of those HR meeting videos.
oh, did he?
Yeah, his video editor is not bad, Although I changed the music. Anyways, in the article, it states also, this is from decrypt.co. Let me scroll down here. Goldman's Bitcoin position reflects a broader trend within the financial industry where initial skepticism has gradually given way to cautious acceptance and integration of digital assets into mainstream financial products. So before I move on and kind of show you, Rob, we got Goldman Sachs, they're buying for their clients. We got BlackRock, they're buying for their own funds and for their clients. We have pensions, nation states. We have Morgan Stanley now giving the green light to all their investment advisors. What are your thoughts on this piece of news? And do you see it accelerating in the next, let's just say, 2 to 4 weeks?
2 to 4 weeks?
Yeah. In the short term. We always talk about medium, 6 months, a year. Let's talk a little shorter term on this topic.
What would be the catalyst for it to have an acceleration within the next?
I don't know. Well, that's kind of, I was waiting to see your answer, and then I was going to ask you what you thought.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see anything changing from the large whale wallets any faster than we're already seeing. I don't know. I mean, Goldman Sachs, this just got released, so they have been buying this whole time. But with a publicly traded company, you need to disclose your position quarterly. And so the same thing we've seen with Tesla. And so I don't know. I don't think the companies move that fast. I think that this 418 million was spread out over the course of probably the last 6 months, I would assume.
I can give you maybe a catalyst for maybe a ramping up, money moving out of money market funds.
I'm not saying that
and the $7 trillion sitting on the sideline.
I'm not saying, but here's the thing: that money that those funds aren't representative of these large asset holders, right? That's more retirement. That's more individuals. You got some high net worth people, but I mean these large wallets, they're buying. Well, yes, they're buying on behalf of their clients, sure. And if their clients are, ramping up their investment portfolio or at least their allocation, then yeah, you're going to get more. But I don't know, man. The thing is these companies, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, they take more of a methodical approach. And if they want to get a position on something, they want to get a position on gold, they're not gonna use all of their dry powder on the side, as we say it here. They're not gonna take all their spare capital. They're just gonna slowly allocate to it. And I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. Do want to say though, interesting here, you have the top holders of the wallets here. So you got Satoshi here with the 1.1 million Bitcoin, and largest holder. But number 2, you got Binance, followed by BlackRock. BlackRock's number 3.
I think that's incorrect.
Is it?
I think so. I think Coinbase has more than Binance now because of their custody with. Well, I guess BlackRock would include that, right? So I guess they're taking the Coinbase Prime custody.
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, if you had Coinbase would be 2, but Coinbase doesn't own these. So this is who owns or who has the most Bitcoin, right?
Can we argue that? Well,
BlackRock's is holding in regards
Binance
to
too, right?
Yeah.
For their clients.
Yeah, but I guess you could tier it in a different way, but
It's definitely interesting though. Look at the U.S. government coming in at number 7.
Yeah,
214,000. I mean, doesn't it make it that much?
Over 200,000 Bitcoin. And then, you had this today, and I know we opened up with this, but U.S. government moved 600 million in Silk Road. So that is 10,000 Bitcoin. And so, we speculate here like, this is going to Coinbase Prime. Now, Coinbase Prime custody. Also, Coinbase Prime institution OTC.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
what are you thinking? You thinking they're selling it over OTC?
No, I'm just saying that I'm not sure. I mean, right now it's pure speculation because there hasn't been a press release. There hasn't been a statement on it at all. So
what I'm curious on, Robin, is they've sold a lot of Bitcoin, right? Well, what do they do with that money when you literally have a printing press that you can just print the dollars? Like they sell the Bitcoin and do what with it?
yeah, but you could say the same thing about everything in government, right? You can say, hey, the teachers are underpaid. Let's print more money and pay the teachers. Oh, hey, we need to buy more oil for the strategic reserve. Let's print it and buy more oil. Oh, we need to.
They literally.
No, I'm not saying they don't, but generally speaking, those are usually only done in the form of bills, right? And so spending comes through a budget, and then you have these large proposals that'll create money, right? You'll say, hey, we're going to send financial aid to Ukraine in the form of $500 million, and that is essentially printed, right? Because it's not accounted for. It wasn't part of the budget in the first place. And so yes, there are times that the U.S. government will do that, but it's usually in the form of a policy or an executive order, or Congress has passed a bill. And so, for us to simply, hey, we're going to print, say, $500 million, or we're going to print $300 billion, or whatever the number you want to throw out there. We're going to print this to purchase Bitcoin. It can't be done from the Treasury Department, right? It has to be done from Congress. It has to be done from the executive office. Now,
the Fed indirectly prints money.
Yeah,
without needing legislation.
By buying bonds. But now there's no Bitcoin bonds. And so, yes, theoretically, the government could buy Bitcoin by printing money, but it would have to come through either the executive office or Congress.
I agree. The whole Bitcoin strategy would have to come through Congress.
It's still, you can blanket that same thing to anything. Like, well, we need more computer chips here. Well, let's just print money and buy all the computer chips in Taiwan.
Sounds like a good idea.
No, but what I'm saying is that you can apply that to everything, and that's just not how government works. And so our government's not going to just print money to buy Bitcoin. Now, we print money to do other crap, right? With sending money abroad, but that's by the elected officials that you have. Now, as you mentioned, the Fed circumvents all of this by buying bonds and injecting liquidity into the markets through the rolling off
the
debt
money is so
by quantitative easing, by giving money to the banks.
I've been so since 2022, and I've always been into macro and economics, but in 2022, I really started getting enamored with the Federal Reserve, how that whole thing works, how interest rates work, the increases of it. I'm reading a new book that was recommended by Lynn Alden on X from, I believe, Lawrence McDonald. And it's just what the Fed does, it's so fake. They purchase these bonds and notes from these companies, and in return, they give them a deposit in the bank. So essentially creating money out of literally nothing. Nothing. Typically, those get sold in the secondary market, and the ledger goes from one to the other, but there's got to be money in the other account to be sent to the other one. With the Fed, they can just create a bunch of $1,000 deposit tickets from the Federal Reserve and deposit it into that bank's balance sheet, and there you have new money created out of nowhere. And so it's something that's not going away, and it's one of their tools in their toolbox. And it's interesting. A lot of people thought if we got a good headline CPI number, that Bitcoin would go up. It's actually gone down, and I think I might know a reason why. We'll go over that in a second. But first, I said there's multiple people, multiple things that are buying Bitcoin. The other one here is the state of Wisconsin's investment board. Their investment in BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF has grown to nearly $100 million, with an increase of almost 500,000 shares since their last 13F filing. But it does not stop there, Robin. We are going global. Central banks of Norway and Switzerland disclose massive MicroStrategy holdings. MicroStrategy Holdings, Norges Bank, which is responsible, excuse me, for managing the government's pension fund of Norway, holds over 1.1 million MicroStrategy shares. The Swiss National Bank holds almost 500,000 MicroStrategy shares, which represents a 60% increase, Robin, quarter over quarter. Now, Michael Saylor, just a masterful fashion, has gone on CNBC, on Squawk Box, on podcasts with Preston Pish. He spoke about this as well, how MicroStrategy is almost the perfect leverage proxy play on Bitcoin with almost zero downside. And this to me says you have a product, right? You have actual Bitcoin exposure, but 2 central banks globally have decided to get that exposure through MicroStrategy. Very interesting.
Yeah,
What do you think?
it's not the direction I thought that a central bank was going to go if they wanted to get exposure.
I didn't
to
either.
Bitcoin,
I
but-
thought this would come
but-
more from
But
pension
maybe
funds, but
there's I would if I had to speculate, and this is just me not knowing the
is this a Rob
intricacies.
Stradamus moment?
No, just not knowing the intricacies. I would assume central bank to purchase Bitcoin. Maybe there's a lot of regulatory loopholes or perhaps some difficulties in doing so. Maybe the central bank can't purchase commodities for whatever reason, or maybe it's very difficult. And so you have some people that maybe orange pilled, or maybe there's some people that hold Bitcoin that believe in it and say, hey, look,
Central banks can definitely buy.
Yeah,
commodities. They buy a shitload of gold.
yeah, but maybe a digital commodity, maybe buying other commodities outside of like precious metals are difficult. Maybe, a central bank, corn and livestock and, utilities, electricity, those are also considered commodities. And maybe those are outside of the privy of a central bank in Norway to purchase. But what I'm saying is that I would assume or just speculate that it's probably easier just to go buy a stock as a central bank versus Bitcoin, because we know that Bitcoin is weaponized by governments as a form of money laundering, as terrorist currency, right? And so that'd be my guess. I don't know. Maybe they just like the volatile nature of MicroStrategy. That's a leverage play. Maybe they just think like, hey man, these guys are just buying so much Bitcoin more than we're comfortable buying, and so why not get this by proxy instead of us, just piling in.
I mean, Michael Saylor again, just the way, and I was trying to find that clip earlier before we came on the show. I couldn't find it, but just the way he explained it was so easy to understand. And you're sitting there, you're like, this is a smart dude. This dude knows exactly what he's doing. I think the debt they've taken out, right, to buy the Bitcoin, this was back in 2022. Over 75% of that was unsecured debt, which as an investor is what you want, because if a company goes under, guess what? There's more money left over for you because they don't have to pay that debt back because it's not secured. And so, sounds messed up, but it is what it is. These are the games that they play. And so, speaking of playing games,
I do want to say, I'm currently writing a tweet.
to
Michael Saylor. Saylor, you're a smart dude. Join us on our show.
at least use the right
You use
your.
the right
It's-
your,
Yeah, it's YOU''RE.
There we go. Thanks, Grammar Chick.
You're welcome, guys.
All right.
It's also repost, not retweet. Elon's going to be mad. Anyways, as I was doing an amazing segue, which was interrupted, I'm not going to longer do that segue, but I do want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor, Legacy Network. Guys, we need your help as a community. You guys know if you're watching our show, Legacy Network has been one of our longest tenure sponsors. They're absolutely amazing. We have a monthly call with the team. They need your help. If you downloaded the app, do them a favor. Go to the App Store and leave them a review, right? Show your experience, give them a rating, and then talk about how you feel about the app. And if you don't have the app, download the app. It's free, it's fun, it's engaging. And in our last call, there might be a financial incentive for the people that are using the app if you claim enough XP points and so on and so forth. So a lot of exciting things are happening. And so we want your guys' help as a community. Download the Legacy Academy app. And once you download it, or if you already have it, please leave a review on the App Store. we would highly appreciate it. So big thank you to Legacy for bringing you today's show. Let's talk about this. Inflation. Now, Robin, if I were to tell you, Rocco, I'm sorry. It's just if I were to tell you, hey, Robin, guess what? Inflation is going to come in at less than 3% tomorrow. And I said, what do you think Bitcoin's going to be at? What would you say?
60,000.
Okay. We're under 60,000. We're actually down. We are down 3% on the 24 hour, still up over 5.8% on the 7-day, but we are down. Now, people might be scratching their head and saying, well, isn't that a good thing? Why is Bitcoin down? I might have an answer for you. So, U.S. inflation falls to 2.9%, lower than expected. Now, to be fair, I think this is complete horse crap. I believe inflation is a lot higher. You look at the core things, right? The things that people have no choice but to buy, right? Power, gas, food, shelter, and car insurance. Those are all up. But guess what? Steaks are down, and all the other stuff that people have pretty much 2-3 years ago stopped buying, those are down, which brings the CPI headline down, the way they manipulate the numbers. But still, these are headlines that people trade on. These are things that investors react to. And so one would assume, okay, it's down. Well, risk on assets should pump. That is not what's happened. Let's take a look here. 2.9, core is down to 3.2. And as mentioned, you guys, motor vehicle insurance is still up 18.6% year over year. That is absolutely massive. You have tobacco, damn it, that is up 7.9%. And then some of the other big ones that kind of stand out here, you have energy services, as I said, up 4.2% year over year. Meals, food away from home, that is up over 4% yet again. Then you have this. Jerome Powell has said, if the Fed waits for 2% inflation to cut rates, we have waited too long. There's also some people who say they should continue to hike rates. Now take a look at what the CME thinks. They think there's a 0% chance the Fed doesn't cut. Now, how much will they cut? This is where these numbers come in. To the right, the 60.5%, that is a 25 basis point rate cut. And on the left, which is currently just a smidge under 40%, that is the odds of a 50 basis point rate hike. Now, this number was in the high 90s, Rob, and it's come down to under 40%. And so I think once the market saw how quickly that Black Monday rebound was just a week ago, everyone overreacted. People thought they were going to cut 50 basis points, got to save the economy. Oh, we're back. Japan made up all the losses it made. Okay, cool. We don't have to jump the gun and cut. Now, I do think there's one potentially big reason why risk on assets are down. If you think about interest rates and what the Fed does and how that directly affects investors, right? Treasuries have long been known as the safest asset, right? You're betting on the U.S. government, you're betting on the U.S. economic power, you're betting on the U.S. military, which has been a really, really good bet over the last 50 years, right? They haven't defaulted, although the debt has grown. And so when you look at this, when I look and I say, okay, I can put $100 million into a 1-year U.S. Treasury note and earn 4.4%, which is over 1.5% in inflation, right? The whole idea is you always want to outpace inflation at the bare minimum. 10 months ago, you weren't doing that. Now you are doing that. And so when investors look forward and they say, they're going to cut interest rates, these interest rates are going to come down, I'm probably not going to see 4.5%, 5%, 5-year, 2-year, 3-month, 30-year bonds, notes, bills anymore for the foreseeable future. So I can get it while it's still good. I can purchase it, hold it on my balance sheet. And if I do need to sell it, I can sell it at a premium because the newly minted treasuries are going to be at a much lower interest rate than the ones that I can buy on the open market today. And that's also going to hurt what the Fed's going to do because no one's going to want or need to sell them. Now, once these come to maturity, sure, all that extra money is not freed up. You can't just, you can, but it wouldn't be wise to roll it back into treasuries because you went from 4.5% down to 1.5% or 2%, depending on when those maturities come. And that is when I think you're going to start seeing that flow into assets. I think people are gearing up for interest rate cuts, and they're trying to get trying to get it while the getting is good. And so that's what I think is happening. It makes complete sense, at least to me, from a practical standpoint. Is if something's on sale, Robin, Black Friday, why is there people that rush the stores and wait outside in line on Black Friday? It's because these prices, you're not going to see them for another year. So people are willing to go spend money, borrow money, put it on their credit card, take money from under the mattress, Robin. And so that is what I believe is happening. That is why I believe the risk on markets are bleeding. Also, among other things, I was not saying it's the only thing, but that's kind of my thought there.
To go back to what you asked, why is the markets not rallying in crypto? Why is Bitcoin not up? It's all factored in, right? It's no surprise that we had a rate cut forecasted coming up in September, and nothing has changed. And the fact that inflation has come down under 3%, if anything, it just affirms the fact that we are going to get that rate cut. And I think that the rebound that we saw in crypto, where we went down and tested $49,000 briefly, and then we rallied all the way back up to 60,000 over the course of less than 2 weeks. That move there was what I think the markets were saying, hey, there's going to be a rate cut. There's no need for Bitcoin to sell off any further. And that's already priced in. And so when you wake up and you see a headline inflation under 3%, it just affirms that, hey, rate cuts are coming.
But Robin, not only that, you have inflation coming down and unemployment rate going up, which is a perfect scenario for the Fed, because they've always been afraid to cut interest rates, which will essentially spur borrowing, make borrowing cheaper. Mortgage rates are already down from, I think the high was around 7.8%. They're under 6.5% now. Borrowing is going to become a lot cheaper as the Fed reduces interest rates. More money potentially is going to flow into the markets. And so they're always worried about the inflationary pressures that's going to cause. But now they can look and say, okay, inflation's been coming down. We're under 3%. Unemployment's going up, which we don't want. Inflation's going down, which we do want. We can cut interest rates.
So you got interest rates getting cut, right? We have the president going up for re-election, or at least the current administration is. And we know that monetary policy tends to loosen, and that you do tend to see a spur of economic activity right prior to an election. And so we've seen this exactly play out before. We've seen this in 2021. Sure, we had an epidemic that caused the U.S. government to shut things down and print money. Things are playing out very similar. So you have the World Health Organization. Monkeypox outbreak is a public health emergency of international concern. And it's clear
This
that
is the third time they've done this, by the way.
But here they're saying
It's rebranded to Mpox now, not monkey.
Yeah. So it's clear. But here's a quote, and you could play this, but I don't really want to play it. But basically, the big takeaway. The big takeaway here. It's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stop the outbreak to save lives. When the hell did we hear that before? We need a coordinated international response. So, and I know that, we sit here and say, hey, COVID's behind us, lockdowns are behind us, quarantine is behind us, but do you really believe that is behind us? You really think that we won't find ourselves in a situation where the government is saying, hey, we need to shut down businesses? And it doesn't even have to be. Honestly, it doesn't even have to be just like here in the United States. I'm just saying that if you get some European countries, you get some Asian countries, say China shuts down. I mean, what does that do for the trade, for international commerce? What does that do for international finance globally? And so it doesn't even need to go to the magnitude that we saw it in 2021, where pretty much all countries other than I think it was Sweden was like, hey, we're shutting down quarantine. You could get a handful of countries that overreact, and it could essentially break the monetary system, the international system, right? International trade. It's a very, very delicate.
It's funny. This happened same timing. Almost same timing.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Now, how if you would have asked me in 2020, what is the likelihood, when China did their lockdowns, I remember hearing about it. I was like driving, I was listening to a podcast or radio, and I was like, and they were talking about quarantine and shutting down cities in China. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, wow, China is such an oppressive government. Like they have so much control. And, you see what like a regime that has a lot of, power, communist kind of influence. What does that do for government control? And I was like, that'll never happen here.
Psych.
And boom. And so I kind of get the same feeling. I just think to myself, I'm like, all right, we've already done this. We're not going to go back. We've learned our lesson. We're not going to shut down again. But can I comfortably say that and actually believe it? No. And, you have the cycle playing out again, man. You got the money printer is getting around. We're about to get interest rate cuts. You got a re-election coming up. It's just things happen for a reason. Now, what
I'm just my brain's going, Yeah. I'm just gonna keep my opinion to myself. It'll be if something like that does happen. I think a lot of people have seen, like, we at least have something to look back on and be like, okay, this worked, this didn't work. I'm not doing that. I'm doing that. And so I think people will be in a better position. But it's like, I hope it doesn't happen, because you want to talk about a 1980 style stagflation. If that happens again and the world economy comes to a halt, it's not going to be good. You're going to want to be in hard assets.
But what do you think? And I don't want to get too far away from crypto, but what do you think China would do if they get a large number of outbreaks in their own country?
I mean, look,
they're very progressive when it comes to.
This is a little off topic, but here's my thoughts. Anytime the governments can use something to gain more power, they will. Look what happened in the United States after September 11th attacks. The Patriot Act, right? Oh, we need to make sure the terrorist is only for a short period of time. We got to tap into phone calls, and that thing is still around today. Look what happened with the pandemic, right? I think that was a test as far as seeing how many people will comply, what will happen. And I think globally, anytime any government can exert more power and control over their people, they're going to do
You
it.
think, but if there's an outbreak in China, do they quarantine?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Exactly. But you think there's a more likely that it would, right?
Yeah.
If there was an outbreak.
I mean, look what they did last time.
Yeah, exactly. So now whether here in the United States, I don't know. I think that because you have a country that's divided up in the states and each state has their own legislation, you have a lot of I would say states that have looked at COVID and won't go down that path again.
Yes.
So
well, that's what I meant when I said I think a lot of people have looked at.
Exactly. Now, I think that there are going to be certain states like, California, for example.
I'm sorry, but you want to be in a red state.
Yeah.
To say it.
And so there are going to be certain states, but I'll just say that I think that it'll be spotty as far as, how, if there's a quarantine, how would that be implemented here in the United States? But I think a country like China absolutely closes down if there's a large outbreak there. And where I'm just getting at is it's, number 2 economy. Some people say it's number 1 if you look at certain data or numbers. And, if you shut down an entire country's, exports and basically the entire GDP just comes to a grinding halt. What does that mean for economics? It's not going to be good, man. It's not going to be good on a global scale. But at the same time, we know that the cause and effect of that is usually the federal government, if not the central banks. They don't want an economic collapse. They'll just print a lot of money, and we know that funnels into crypto. So
here's the thing also too, and this will be the last thing I'll say, and then we'll kind of move on, is I think not only the people, but the investors and the large hedge funds, like COVID kind of just like, bam, came out of nowhere. No one knew what the governments were going to do. And like, oh, wow, they're going to shut down. I think you start seeing news like that. I think people start front running what they think is going to happen, or at least try, if they're going to see a replication of what happened in 2020. And I think it won't be as big of a shock as it was in 2020 if, God forbid, something like that happens again.
do we see, I want to ask the chat here, do we see a replay of 2021 this year? Now, it doesn't have to be textbook copy paste here, But do we see an environment where the government steps in, starts printing tons of money, people are spooked, and maybe countries kind of shut down, and you get this trade situation again where prices start to skyrocket because of lack of supply for whatever reason? You think that happens again this year? You think we see Bitcoin break out because of this scenario? Put a 1 in the chat. You think that we're kind of on some conspiracy theory, kind of a little loony here, and you know what? We're just going to go into election and nothing to see here. Put a 2 in the chat. I want to know. Global uncertainty and economic turmoil coming by the end of the year, or is, slow gains in the S&P 500?
You know what I feel like Ashley
Put a 2 in the chat.
You know what I feel like Ashley was doing during the last pandemic lockdown? She was probably just playing Gotta Dance or Just Dance on Wii. Is that accurate?
Oh
Or
my God, I
what
do
were you
love
doing?
Just Dance.
do you?
I do.
My kids love it too, actually. They were talking about it the other day.
Yeah. You guys should have seen it. David came over to my house.
Yeah, you finally saw my real moves. What'd you think?
You were playing Just Dance?
Yeah.
Oh, was I not invited?
I got some video.
that's
I
me
got a
too.
video. I got a video of him.
Oh,
You
good.
do? I
Yeah.
got a video of you too, don't forget.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, my wife was recording.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
well, I guess we're in a stalemate duel here.
Yeah.
Because it's like two countries, armed nuclear weapons. If one pulls the trigger, the other one will launch as well.
Yeah.
So don't you dare.
Yeah, you might have a red button, but mine is bigger and works better, a lot better. Don't know.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the markets, Rob.
All right. So taking a look at the markets, as we mentioned when we came in, we got Bitcoin sitting at $59,100.
My gosh.
So a little spill off from where we were earlier. It was this morning we were over 60K.
Hey, Crick Kratz
and-
wants to know, he said he's looking through the crypto almanac and there's no section on this.
Ah, man,
Did
I'm
you forget?
telling you, we are going to release a crypto almanac with or without the Sin City crypto branding to it. If the company doesn't agree to
Tell
it,
me you're
I'm going to do it myself.
Tell me you're
With
a boomer
pictures.
without telling me you're a boomer. The guy wants to do a crypto almanac.
Oh, we're
Why
doing
not?
that?
It's
If
a
you know what an
forecast.
almanac
A
is, tell me what-
forecast of crypto prices for the year. And you take geopolitical.
When was the last time you picked up an almanac and looked at it?
Am I a farmer? No, I live in Vegas. No plants grow out here. There's no need for almanac. But when I
Are
lived
crypto
when
people
I lived
farmers?
in Virginia,
You
there
just
was
made your own point.
there were plenty of people that
Anyway,
used it. It's a source of information.
Okay.
All right. So back at it here. You got Bitcoin now under 59,000. So a little spill off, and so dramatic move to the downside. A lot of this has happened exactly at the time that the markets opened up today at 9:30 Eastern time. So taking a look at the 1 week, not too much concern here because you see here a week ago we came up from 54,000. And then you're going to zoom out on the 1 month, the 1 year. You can see that we are still looking healthy. Just wondering, when are we going to break out of this channel that we're at, the 60K zone? I don't know.
So
You were alluding to the next 2 to 4 weeks.
I know.
Yeah.
I just want to show this real quick. So you see the volume here. Bless you. A lot of volume in this current area here. Looks like a lot of that has been selling volume. As far as volume spikes, the next one we see is down around 56,900. And I'm not saying that's where Bitcoin's going to go. But if we throw on our price action concepts here from Lux Algo, love using this one. You can see here, this is a key area between 58.3 and 58.9, which is literally where we are right now. Bitcoin's price is going down. We haven't seen a spike in volume yet, but there is a large gap down here. When we spiked up, we filled this gap between 55.4 and 56.8. Who knows? But we are entering on the hourly, at least. You can see here on the very bottom, we are currently oversold. Right? Hourly oversold conditions. If we zoom out to the 4 hour, we take a look at what does that look like. We're not oversold on the 4 hour just yet. You can see here the level where you're at. Let's throw on our volume range again. Take a look at on the 4 hour, where's a lot of volume coming in. A lot of volume coming in around 57.2, which is also right below our fair value gap on the 4 hour chart. And so we might get a good bounce here. We did see a lot of consolidation happening in that range, that 57K range. So my bet is if we keep going down, unless there's a massive news headline as far as U.S. government sold or something, right? I think 57 would be a great place to maybe enter into a long position on a tiny bit of leverage. So that's just I just want to share a chart on Bitcoin.
All right. And then looking a little further down the market cap list at some of the altcoins, some of the gainers today, Toncoin up 8.75%, largest gainer in the altcoin market, and up a resounding 30% on the week. I know we're going to touch on a little Toncoin news today. Also, you got Aave up 7% as well. That's on the 24 hours. Not, it's made up some ground. It had pulled back pretty heavily this a little over a week ago. And then you go down, you got let's see, some other gainers, Notcoin as well, another Toncoin ecosystem. And then Helium up 50% on the week. I feel like the Helium is kind of coming back. I'm starting to see
Big partnership with T-Mobile.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of buzz back in Helium again. And they have the partnership with T-Mobile. They're trying to do was it kind of like a decentralized data sharing network through their
they're a deep in play, right?
Yeah.
Infrastructure play.
Yeah, and you know what? If it makes a lot of sense, right? Instead of using your routers that they were having, those Helium miners where they're dispersing their Wi-Fi signal, why not say, hey, you know what? Screw that whole business model. Let's just do our network and data sharing through T-Mobile or through a cellular network. Seems a little bit more efficient, right? Or at least I feel like you get in a city, instead of having one person having it in their apartment, another person having it in their house, everyone's got a cell phone in their pocket. And so the more people that you can onboard that way, I think is more beneficial for their network effect. So, wouldn't be surprised to see maybe even a larger run out of Helium. Maybe this is the first stop on many. And if you look at their 1 year chart, really healthy, outperforming Bitcoin even as of lately. And it was at $8-9 just earlier this year, all the way down to $3. And so this has been a tremendous swing trade opportunity here, up over 2x from just from a month ago, man. And so how high will this go? Take a look at the all-time chart. You can see that there is a lot of room to make if it gets back to its former glory. So currently sitting at $7. We did see a $40 Helium just a couple years ago. Can we get back to its former glory? Do you think that we'll start here. Do you think we'll see a 3x, so a $21 Helium by the end of the year?
No. I don't think so. I mean, you're talking about a 3x, unless a big partnership news breaks.
It's making a lot of progress, right? And the reason I say by the end of the year is that Ethereum is not far off of its former all-time high, right? Or at least it wasn't a month.
A little less than a 2x.
Yeah. And so the height of Ethereum was 5,000. We saw Ethereum get to about $3,800 a few weeks ago. And so for me, I just kind of think like, hey, if it was over $40 at one point, can it get to 20 by the end of the year? I think it could. I'm about 50-50 on it. I think that this thing is catching momentum. It already has, big partnership with T-Mobile, and all it takes is one more partnership and perhaps some DApp love, maybe some DApp that people are using on the network, and that's it. That's all it takes. So,
Like at 15%.
15%.
Yeah. That's all you got for the markets?
I think so. Yeah, that's it. Not too much red. You got some down for the day, but nothing down on the week. So.
Bitcoin's down for the day.
Yeah.
So we Rob said, what was Toncoin up like 7-8%, right? Something like that.
7% on the day, or 8% on the day, 30% on the week. So quite a move.
Might be getting a little more money into Toncoin as Ton Foundation executives launch a $40 million Ton Ventures Fund to boost blockchain projects. Former members of the Open Network launch Ton Ventures, an inaugural $40 million fund to support blockchain projects. The fund, which is backed by private investors, will focus on startups developing applications based on the integration of the open network with Telegram. The ecosystem of the open network has grown exponentially, surpassing Ethereum in daily active users and reaching $1.14 billion in total assets. Now, you look at something like Toncoin, right? Let's go back to Toncoin here. You look at something like Toncoin, highly centralized holdings, right? We show this all the time. I think like over 92% of the supply is held by the top 100 holders. So that's a concern, right? It's not something I would hold long term unless that starts to diversify a little bit. But it doesn't mean that you can't make money on it. I'm not saying this thing is going to 20x, but it's sitting at a $17 billion market cap. Is it crazy to think this thing can go to 100?
It's catching network effect. Here's the thing. In the U.S., a lot of people don't have Telegram accounts, or at least don't actively use it like we see internationally. And so
A seventh of the world uses Telegram.
that's what I'm saying, is that, guys, wake up. There are a couple companies that are not as popular in the U.S. Sure, they are known here. Sure, there's a lot of accounts, but realistically speaking, PayPal, not known, not used by everybody daily here in the U.S., but PayPal has a massive user base. They have a lot of U.S. clients, but realistically, there's a lot of people using PayPal internationally. And the same can be said with Telegram. Telegram and WhatsApp are two of the backbones of communication internationally for cell phone networks. And so if Telegram says, hey, here's a currency in-app that just makes it seamless to send money internationally to friends and family, we already know that there's a little bit more diversity as far as family members and friends that live internationally abroad, right? My family's European, and my mom's Portuguese, but my grandfather's French. So I got a lot of family and friends.
Ooh, les incompetents.
Stop it. So, anyways, you go to Europe, there's all kinds of family members all around, right? You got people in South America and Africa and in Europe, a lot more diversity when it comes to families in Europe than it is here in the United States, in my opinion. I don't know if there's some data to back that up, but Telegram, people are moving money internationally, right? You got to send your son or daughter or wife or whatever it is some money. They probably live on, there's a lot of different users that live internationally.
Oui.
And Toncoin makes it easy. Telegram makes it easy. So guys, wake up. This thing, I think, is going to grow. To answer your question, I think that this thing has got a lot of room to move because market effect and utility and use case and users
And money.
and
money.
yes, as money as well. But that reigns supreme, right? You can have the best product in the world, but if you got a small user base, you don't have a lot of activity going on. It could be the coolest product ever. It doesn't matter if everybody else is using another product, right? You can sit here and say, "Hey, look, remember those old DVDs?" So prior to the DVD, they had like this CD thing, right? It was like a box. Did you ever see that? It had like this.
You are old.
It had the disc on the inside. It was like a
Floppy disk?
It looked like a floppy disk, but there was a CD on the inside. And anyways, they tried to like ram this down your throat, right? They were just saying like, hey, this is better than a CD. This disc here, this is better for music. Sony was all in on it. It was a good product. It was way more efficient than a CD, but it never caught on for the simple fact that there wasn't enough users. People didn't want to use it. It was a good product, but it didn't catch adoption because people didn't buy it. Now, same thing here. You can have the greatest layer one on the planet. You can sit here and say, hey, you know what? Cardano's the best chain ever. But if you can't get the users to sign up and use it, if people aren't actively building on it, then it's going to fall to the competition. I do believe in Cardano. I do think that the users are coming. Not a slight there, but I'm just saying that you need that network effect. You need users to get on and use it. And largest user base in telecommunications, or at least one of the largest, is Telegram. And the Toncoin it's effective. It's working.
Yeah. And on the flip side of the coin to look at it, with the centralization of the token holdings, is these guys are going to want the token to pump.
Rusty Bot, mini disc. There it is. Mini disc.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was waiting for somebody in the chat
Ash,
to
do
help
me
me
a
out.
favor because you got your laptop. Will you Google when was the mini disc created? I'm trying to get a gauge here real quick. While Ashley's doing that,
Why? Because Robin's a dinosaur or what?
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how old this is.
So if you know about history, you automatically old 2,000 years.
Yeah.
If you know about definition, you are back from 5,000 years.
No, it's just Robin. It's just Robin, yeah.
Yeah, these oh here it is. The mini disc.
1992.
1992. There it is. Mini disc. There it is.
Oh wait, no.
So it was like a CD
86.
inside of a little box.
86.
So the beauty of this was that you wouldn't scratch the CD because it was inside the box, and so
You used this, right?
You know, I actually did. I
There
bought
you
it. I was using it. And
I wasn't even born when this came out.
I was
Interesting.
upset because there was supposed to be music and stuff like that, and there was only like a few albums that came out, and I was all hyped. I was like, "It's,
Well, we had
it's coming."
LimeWire growing up for me. You know, Napster, LimeWire. We
Yeah,
just.
that LimeWire destroyed at least 3 of my computers.
My dad would never buy me a
Yeah.
computer if I destroyed it.
That,
Anyways,
and that and some interesting websites.
we'll leave it at that. Speaking of interesting, this is pretty interesting. A MetaMask debit card is coming. Now spend your crypto like cash. This reminds me of the Coinbase Prime card that you get. Let me go over this article and I kind of tell you my thoughts. So, partnering with MasterCard and banks, MetaMask aims to simplify how users spend their crypto. The blockchain debit card allows its users, please go away. Why are you not going away? Okay. The blockchain debit card allows its users to spend their crypto directly from the MetaMask wallet. In its pilot phase, this card is first rolling out to a limited number of users in the EU and UK, and more users will gain access in more regions. Now, unlike traditional methods where you need to transfer crypto to an exchange, convert it to cash, and then move the money to a bank, this card skips all of that. You keep control of your crypto until the moment you make a purchase. When you pay with the MetaMask card, your crypto will instantly be converted into the currency needed for the transaction. Let me tell you, when I travel outside the state, right, I get so nervous that I'm going to have issues with my bank. So I always bring like 5 different forms of payment. I bring 2 debit cards. I don't have credit cards. Bring 2 debit cards. I bring my Coinbase Prime card. I bring cash. I'll go out and I'll buy a gift card. I'll bring that. And there's been a couple times where I haven't been able to use my bank card and I've had to wait to call them, or I've had issues and I just have swiped my Coinbase card and it goes through like this. And that's money that I guaranteed I know when I swipe it, I can use it, right? Even though in a bank, it's your own money. But this is something to where if you have USDC, and let's say you take profits on a coin, on MetaMask, on Uniswap, and you got the USDC there, and you need the money for something. Instead of, okay, I got the stable coin, got to take it to Coinbase, and now I got to withdraw it, and I got to wait 3 days before I get the money. What if it's an emergency? You can now just swipe this card, and instead of going through all those steps, it'll automatically just deduct from that account that you were going to withdraw on anyways, right?
Facts. I'll just say this, like, I just don't find much for myself personally. Now, I think that if you reside in a country that lacks banking services and it's difficult for you to open up a checking account or something that is comparable in another country, this makes a lot of sense, right? It's an opportunity for you to, hey, buy crypto, deposit your paycheck into an exchange, and then use it that way, right? For your everyday goods. Me personally, I don't need to. I think a lot of U.S. citizens, people that live here in the U.S., I just don't find them using it. But I think it's a great product. I think that we've already seen a host of other credit cards. Different exchanges offer cards that'll directly debit from your account. Crypto.com is one that comes to mind. But I don't know. I think it's a natural progression as far as spending money with crypto. I think that it's a product that services a certain demographic of people. But for me personally, I mean, my crypto's investing. So my crypto's not spending. And, then you get in the US, you're also going to get into tax scenarios. And so every time you would spend, I know we talked to Ernest the last time we were in Consensus down in Austin, we were talking to Ernest, who from Decrypt.tax. And he was telling us, he's like, hey, man, every time you spend money, it's a taxable event. Every single time. So think of it this way. Let's just say you bought Ethereum at $1,500 and now it's sitting at $3,000 and some change. Every single transaction that you spend, let's just say you're spending your Ethereum through MetaMask, every cup of coffee, every single checkout, you're going to have to pay capital gains tax on every single one of those itemized transactions. And so for U.S. citizens, I don't know, might stay away from it.
You got to remember, Rob, like you mentioned, crypto is global.
Yeah.
And so some people don't have the benefits that we do here in the U.S. And so I think this will be very helpful to people. And then one more thing here, speaking on payments and crypto, from Jeremy Allaire, CEO of Circle, the creator of the USDC stablecoin. Tap to pay using USDC on iPhones is coming soon.
See, this I like. Stable coins, you're not going to get a capital gains hit on this. So this makes a lot of sense. I think that this is going to be more of a day-to-day transactional medium that you see here in the United States. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Wow.
Guys, I do want to give another big thank you to our other channel sponsor today, which is Seed Hunter. We've been partnering with Seed Hunter for about 3 weeks now. And so if you want to invest like the VCs do and get into these private funding rounds, go to seedhunter.com. There's a link in the description. Click on it, create an account. You can make money as an affiliate. You can make money as a project, raise money, and you can also make money if you have a platform. If
Doing a Twitter Spaces tomorrow with Seed Hunter as well.
Okay.
So project we're pretty excited about. So if you want to catch a little bit more detail on Seed Hunter, make sure you come check out our X Spaces tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow at 4:30 Central Standard Time, CST.
It's at 3:30?
2:30.
2:30.
Ashley, we need your help.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's around that time, but we'll repost it on our page. But guys, go create an account and just go on there and take a look at the platform. And if you recommend anybody on the platform and they end up doing business, they will pay you money. So big thing.
I noticed that the fan base for Ashley is growing. Yeah. So
The computer.
I think my computer is in the seat. Anyways,
Oh, there you go.
What is going on in the chat?
I don't know if I have more fans or if everyone hates me. I don't really know.
I don't think people. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. With that being said, Rocco, thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Make sure to come back tomorrow, same place, same time. Got a lot of fun things happening this week. We got Rare Reaper. We'll be there on Friday. If you're there, meet us. We'd love to meet you. Until tomorrow. Peace.
Entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in, for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David, I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite, I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners, special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners, ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors, they gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin, and sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.